Margaret, Godric the Garfted, Ren and Stimpy, Starsplue Droidon, Margaret 2, Too Mar to Regret. Blech. My asshole after doner kebab with hot sauce, Scrotum and Labia, Dragonlord Flaccid Pusex, Hiya, Lui, Giant Space Condom, and Gideon the Smartass. My dear friends and foes, I'm of course talking about Elden Ring. What else? It's game of the year, it's game of the decade. If you haven't played it yet, you are wasting your life. Stop touching grass and start touching grace. What is wrong with you?
Are you soft in the head?
But before we proceed with this video, I need to address a little thing from the last one. I stated that God of War shouldn't win Game of the Year as opposed to Elden Ring. But after uploading, I realized that the game I played was the original God of War that released back in 2018 and just released to PC and not Ragnarok. I don't know why my brain went there, but it did. Apologies for being dumb, I guess. I needed to rectify that. Now we got that out of the way, let's proceed. You see, it's quite clear that I love this game to bits. I love Elden Ring, and I've said as much in previous videos. So I'm just gonna spoil the rating right at the beginning. I'm giving it a 1 on the doo-doo scale.
Hi, I am the Central Operational Computer Kernel, or in short COC, and I am here to educate you intellectually underprivileged beings on the matter of the doo-doo scale. This scale is based on the philosophical works of Trey Parker and Matt Stone and adapted to a form in which we can compare different forms of media to fecal matter and determine its exact crappiness. But because your tiny raisin brains probably cannot fathom what this exactly encompasses, we have simplified the scale. The scale runs from 0 to 9.99999, with everything surpassing that being considered a full Bono, because Bono is widely regarded as shit because South Park please don't sue me Bono. This basically means the higher the rating, the shittier the subject matter is. So in the case of Elden Ring, this means that the 1 is actually a really good score, it just has a little poo stain here and there. This is the end of my explanation. Cock out.
See, it's a masterpiece that in my opinion outgrew its own niche. Because with games like Dark Souls and Sekiro, I would tell you, you should try those games if you are into the FromSoft type of games. But with Elden Ring, if you are even remotely into video games at all, you should try it. Chances are likely that you will enjoy it. And that being said, of course, it won't be everybody's cup of tea. You will never get that 100% mark as a developer. But this game has more to offer to more people than any FromSoft game ever has so far. But that doesn't mean it's perfect though. You've seen the 1 on the doo-doo scale, we've seen the poo stains in their underwear. Elden Ring does have its flaws and we will get into those later on. But as per usual, we're gonna start off with some dick riding first. Positives. First and foremost is the map, the open world, the environment, the habitat. It's insane. The scope and the design and layout of this world is unlike any I have probably seen in my life. It combines the vastness of an open world, but combines it with that familiar Miyazaki flavor. That flavor that makes me go, ooh, at every rock I find, because I might find an item behind it, or a little nugget of lore, or some random motherfucker that would try to cut your dick off and send it to some Belgian dude named Antoine. At almost every bit of the map, there is something to be found or fought. And the amount of wandering and exploring I did as a result of that is just insane. Probably exceeds any other game I have played in at least recent years. And what also helps with this sense of discovery is the way the map gets introduced to you. You see, the game does this thing where they will give you a map, but it's grayed out. And you will have to find the map pieces in the open world in order to be actually able to see what's on this map. And then you look at it and you're like, holy crap. And then you pass a certain point in the game and you look back on the map and you see that that shit expands. And it does that shit like 3 times and you're like, oh my god, this is sick. And then you're still not done because there are dungeons in the overworld, giant underground areas that you can explore, and even cities you can explore, and even a filthy, stinky sewer to make me feel right at home. Thank you, Miyazaki, you were always like a third dad to me. This got me so engrossed in it all because it made my first playthrough feel like a genuine adventure. And I haven't had that kind of feeling in a video game probably since The Witcher 3. The way every area gets introduced combined with the distinct design of those areas makes every bit of the map feel like a new world to explore in its own right. I'm in love with this principle, and I would love to see more of this in future video games. So developers, please take note. The design in FromSoft games is always really well done, in my opinion. It's usually this kinda grotesque Lovecraftian vibe, and same goes for Elden Ring. But what stuck out to me the most in this game compared to former FromSoft games is the usage of color. Because like I said, other FromSoft games are really well designed as well, but they can seem a bit sober and grey and dead, which is befitting, but still. The contrast of color that gets mixed in Elden Ring is just a breath of fresh air, and it makes this game feel a lot more accessible, a lot more inviting to explore, especially for newer players. I mean, just watching the Earth Tree light up the sky as you ride along the grasslands of Limgrave, or that feeling you get when you enter Caelid for the first time, like it really gave me the jitters, and it was really reminiscent of the ending of the original Berserk anime, which you probably should watch. And there are so much more of these kind of moments when you venture out in this world, and each one of those moments greatly differs from the previous one. The variety is tremendous, and it's not just the landscape. It's also highlighted in a lot of the armor sets and weapons and spells and incantations and enemies and NPCs and consumables, and you get the point. I could go on and on and on and on. For this segment, I will finish with a haiku. Caelid is red, Rani is blue. Subscribe to my channel. I don't know haiku. The gameplay was one of the things I was most excited for in anticipation of Elden Ring. If you're familiar with the FromSoft games, you will know that the gameplay and combat mechanics is where these games truly shine. And where Sekiro went down the path of perfecting a certain combat style, a bit more narrow, seeing you only have the katana, there's still a great variety with the arm thingy, prosthetic thingy, blah, 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 but you get what I'm saying, right? Elden Ring takes the variety in combat and weapons and it just turns it up to 11. There are so many different ways to take on the challenges this game throws at you, and each one of them has insanely cool shit to work with. Whether it be Dragon Barf, or hand ballistas, or lightning rods, or kamehamehas, or what 6-year-old me thought would happen if a girl would kiss you, or just straight up Oonga Boonga. Your game, your rules, there is legit no wrong way to play this game. Do whatever the fuck you want, because in the end, we will all end up on our knees with a bleeding butthole as Malenia just waterfalls your testicles to the Shadow Realm, which makes the perfect segue to our next part. Boss fights, boss fights, boss fights, boss fights, boss fights, boss fights. Boss fights are an integral and probably the most iconic thing about the FromSoft franchise, and Elden Ring is no exception. The boss fights in this game are really good. There are more than ever in a FromSoft game, and yes, they recycle certain bosses and recycle certain enemy types, but especially in the dungeons and the overworld. Regarding the bosses, I didn't really mind it too much, since there are so many of them this time around, and you can't expect them to make 120 plus unique boss fights. That being said, I have some issues with certain bosses, but that's a bone that I will pick later on in the video. Stay tuned for that. In overall sense, the boss fights were really good, especially in the first half of the game. Like, everybody knows exactly how their first encounter with Tree Sentinel and Margit went. Poorly. And it makes for these unforgettable moments throughout your playthrough. But that being said, I gotta say, the boss fights in Dark Souls 3 are a lot better. Despite, or maybe even because, there are far fewer of them. And maybe not as aesthetically, but in terms of the flow of the fights, there aren't many bosses that can actually compare to, like Dancer of the Boreal Valley, or the Nameless King, or Sister Frida, or Slave Knight Gale. I mean, each one of those boss fights were hard, but really fucking satisfying to pull off. Oh god, I need to do another playthrough of Dark Souls 3. As previously stated, the questing in this game can be really fucking vague. Some quests are nearly impossible to figure out by yourself, at least for me. I'm not that smart, I've proven that already with my mistake from last video. But for example, the Rani questline, which is one of the biggest questlines in this game probably, it's nearly impossible to figure out without any outside help. I, for one, did figure out the majority, of it by just turning over every stone I found in the game. But at the moment where you had to talk with the doll at a certain point of grace and blah, 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 I had to look that shit up because I was so fucking lost and I didn't know what to do exactly. But I didn't mind that all too much because I am a simp for Rani and I'm a simp for Miyazaki. But it's become also part of the culture/community to figure these things out together. The same way the messages on the floor helps you and other players out, or fucks them over. Or try finger, but Like I said, I think it's cool, I like it, but at the same time, there is a genuine base for criticism here. But I like this vagueness to a certain degree. I don't think this game needs a quest log, rather a little menu screen where you can revisit your past conversations you've had with NPCs. I think that would be a fair compromise and would still keep things basically as vague as they are right now. I know that story and lore aren't the same thing, but I'm still lumping them together anyway, and for good reason, because I'm fucking lazy. But also because the lore is kind of the story. Like, it's not a game where you have a set out storyline for your character that's already written up, but rather the story of the various NPCs and gods and bosses that makes up the vast majority of the written lore. Having said that, that doesn't mean that your character doesn't have a story at all. You see, the story of your character is the one you create while playing the game. The different choices you make with certain quests and NPCs will affect the flow and eventual outcome of the game. It's whether you choose to simp for a four-handed waifu doll or an anorexic ninja turtle hand or the literal embodiment of cancer, it's all up to you. Having said that, the story are really fucking vague, as most things are in this game. A lot of it is implied or hidden within the environment, cryptic voice lines and item descriptions. And same goes here. It might not be your cup of tea if you like a more traditionally told story. But I for one love it because this too feeds into that feeling of solving things together with the entire community. And I mean, who doesn't like a good Fatifidja video, right? I mean, there are a lot more positives, but I could ramble on and on and on and on because I am biased. But I'd like to keep things in balance, so I'm gonna cut it off here and just focus on the next part. Some of the negatives. It's time to take off the gloves and get down and dirty. Because like I said, the game does have its flaws. I know I already listed this as a net positive, but some bosses in this game, some bosses. Fire Giant is a piece of shit, garbage ass, 60-meter tall, middle-aged ginger that for some reason thinks he's a fucking fidget spinner. In my first playthrough, I was playing a magic build and I got stuck at this asshole for the longest time because it's such a pain to get hits on his crits with those type of attacks. And when I got in the position, he just fucked off to the other side of this garbage-ass arena, which is, by the way, filled with ledges and rocks and whatnot for some fucking reason. And then there's the final boss fight. Oh boy. It starts off with Dragonball, which was such a sick fight. The music blasting and just this hand-to-hand combat style with basically the big baddie, or like the big baddie, or maybe not the big baddie, like a fake story, but still, it was so sick. It was epic, and then it was hard, but it was done so well. I loved that fight. And then this piece of shit shows up. What the fuck is this? It's literally a fucking water balloon with a sword. And again, a huge ass arena. So you'll have to run a fucking marathon to get in range before this sack of sparkle smegma just fucks off over the horizon. And its attacks are all garbage. AoE and AoE and AoE and AoE and Elden Stars. And how about some more AoE to wash it all the fuck down? And the fact that this is the last boss is just... I'm sorry, it was such a disappointment. It was such a disappointment. But then, in my second playthrough, I did a strength build. And both of those bosses became trivial. Maybe also because I was like higher level, but also because it was just easier to just run up and just start smacking. Now, invasions. No. not that kind of invasions. Okay? Just chill the fuck out. Invasions aren't that much fun anymore in this format, if I'm honest. See, nowadays you can only get invaded if you are already with another summoned player, or if you lure an invader in with the tongue thingy. Whereas in Dark Souls you could get invaded anytime if you were playing alone, if you had an activated ember, which would grant you some extra stats, and that isn't the case anymore. Now, I kinda see why they did it the way they did, because I think it's to be more casual friendly, I guess, and prevent people from being shat on by some fashion soul sweatlords. But I hate doing invasions because it's always a 2 or 3 versus 1. And although you can still win by just killing the host quickly enough, catch him off guard or whatever, it basically just encourages invaders to fight in the most cancerous way possible. You see, I love Elden Ring, but I'm not playing it actively anymore at this point. I saw the video, if Elden Ring is so great, then why am I not playing it anymore, by Ratatoskr. But I haven't watched it yet because I didn't want it to influence my own take on why this is. See, I played Dark Souls 3 back on PlayStation 4 for like 500 hours or so. Did my first character up until New Game Plus 9 or 10, I believe. Whereas with Elden Ring, I'm sitting at 234 hours with 2 playthroughs. And I think it's the scope of Elden Ring that can make it feel a bit daunting to commit to another playthrough. You see, Dark Souls 3 is a lot more concise and quite easy to run through fairly quick.
But Carlos, you can also do that in Elden Ring. Oh.
Which is true, but there's still a lot of running around on the map necessary in order to do it. And just the feeling of having such a grand open world can make it feel like quite an ordeal. I mean, I for one would have loved to have just like a boss rush mode where I could have a list of all the bosses in the game that I've previously beaten and just revisit them at any time, so I can fine-tune the best build for each boss and the best approach. I mean, I like that kind of stuff, but I don't want to replay this giant-ass game over and over and over again just so I can have another go at Malekith with another build. Also, the PvP just isn't it for me at the moment. I've already touched on the invasions, but it's also with the duels. Fight Club isn't no more, there's no arena. It's kind of a miss at the moment. But there are some indications that the Colosseums on the map might soon be used for duels, which would be a welcome addition in my opinion. Okay, so as I am editing this video, the news just dropped that confirms that the new arenas will be added to the game on the 7th of November. And it will include group fights and even summoning spirit ashes. Man, I am so ready for this. Just having an all-out brawl with like a bunch of players, like free-for-all would be great, or just team-based 3v3 combat, like something like that would be sick. Next point, why the longevity just isn't it. It also ties in with one of the previous points. The late-game bosses are just a bit mid, to be honest. With the exception of Radagon and Horalu, the same goes for the variety in the enemy types in a late game. The later parts just feels like it has been rushed and there has been quite some rehashing of assets going on. I cannot lie. And for the final part, I just feel like I already finished everything there is to be done in this game. I mean, I will do a third playthrough at some point just to get the third ending achievement, but that will probably be just a boss rush because I can't be bothered to do any of the side stuff again. Yeah, final verdict, I've already given the score 1 out of 10 on the Doodle scale, nowhere near a full Bono. The game is amazing. It had brought me some of the most epic moments, some of the most what the fuck moments, and some of the most high blood pressure moments I have experienced in any video game. And I cannot wait to see what kind of added content will be created in the future. Elden Ring is art, and if you don't like it, that's okay. It's your opinion. Just know that your opinion is wrong. So yeah, 1 out of 10 on the doo-doo scale, nearly perfect, just not quite. I want to thank you guys again for watching. If you like this video and want to see more rants about games, anime, and pop culture in general, to try and separate the farce from the arts, consider subscribing. It means a lot to me, and I'd love to have you guys aboard. See you guys. Bye!